Here I am working on this brand new Maserati Ghibli. What I'm going to be demonstrating today is the Nanoskin Speedy Prep Sponges. They come in a fine grade and a medium grade. Now, a couple things I want to address and answer quite a few questions in a short period of time is a couple things. A, new car preparation, and B, using the clay bar, the surface prep bar, in this case a surface prep sponge. So if you see my other video, it's very comprehensive, it's very detailed, and the industry is a moving target. That is mostly the good news. The good news is that the industry is constantly coming up with better technology to improve your life, my life as a detailer, your life as a car owner. That is the good news. The bad news is that you can feel like you're chasing your tail sometimes from one product to the next, trying to keep up, and the question always becomes, well, what is the best? Well, the best really is a moving target, and the best for me might not be the best for you, because as a mobile detailer, I've got to worry about a lot more things than you do as a car owner. Now, most subscribers to my channel seem to be guys that want to get, and a few girls out there, I'll note, that want to get into the business. And welcome to the world of mobile detailing. Now, as you'll notice, I'm working under overcast skies. That is the good news when it comes to these prep sponges, because one of the drawbacks of them, regardless of who makes them, is that they are very prone to sticking on paint that is warm to hot. The hotter it gets, the more difficult it is to use, despite how much lubricant that you use. And the beast in this moment is that in order to use this, you need some kind of lubricant in order to get it to slide. If you were to try to use this on dry paint, it would not slide. Now, the second issue, and I'm just going to be working here and just showing you what I am doing. And like I said, if this was the direct sun, I would opt for a clay bar, and you can see the video of how I use the chamois, a synthetic chamois, and a clay bar to work in the direct sun. But I wanted to test this out because a few of the readers, a few of you guys wanted to know what my thoughts were of these bars. Specifically, I love them. Is it the only tool I'm going to carry around to remove contaminants from the paint? No, it's not, because ultimately everything is a case by case. I get endless questions. Darren, how do I polish wheels? Darren, how do I do this? How do I do that? Well, you start with the rules, and then you have to adapt based on the information. And a lot of this is just where experience comes in. It's really hard to answer a question if I'm not there in the moment, because I've got to problem solve the moment myself. So Darren, how often can I clay bar my car? Well, the simple answer is you can clay bar it as often as you like. Maybe the real question is how often do I need to clay bar my car or use one of these sponges on it? And by the way, this is a terrific product. I am loving this. It's very useful. Nanoskin comes in a 6-inch pad that you can apply to your DA. And just so you know, if you decide to go the DA route, I only use that on cars with excessive buildup of fallout or pollutants. This is a brand new car, and it can go very quick. So how often do you need to do it? Well, the answer is depends on you and your expectations. So my rules are this: paint is always going to respond better to the products that you're using. Wax, sealants, quick detailers, go down the list. They're always going to respond better the smoother and the more pollution free your paint is. So that's my simple answer. How do you tell? Well, the moment you start feeling any kind of texture or grit or dirt that's stuck to the paint that is not coming off when you wash it or wax your car, to me, that's the first indicator that, hey, it's time to clay bar my car. In this case, clay sponge, whatever, I don't know what the abbreviated name for this is. So you whip out the sponge, you whip out the clay bar, and if you keep on top of it, it doesn't have to be an all-day task. Maybe the first time around it will, if you have purchased a used car that the previous owner did not take care of. But here I am on a brand new car. And that's something that a lot of you, especially the do-it-yourselfers, do not realize. You think, hey, it's a brand new car, the thing's perfect. Well, let me bring you back down to earth and to reality. You have no idea, unless you specifically asked and you were able to verify, which would be difficult at best. You have no idea how long your car has been sitting around from the point it left the factory. Or I should say, even before that, the point it was done being built at the factory. Do you think the factory of every car manufacturer keeps their cars indoors the second they're done being built? I'm going to say no, very unlikely. Do some manufacturers? Yes. I'm going to say that if you're buying a Ferrari, maybe a Lamborghini, a real high AMG Mercedes, yeah, they probably keep them indoors until they're shipped overseas to wherever their final destination is. But then guess what? Then it comes to the dealer. Never mind transportation from the docks, whether it's Long Beach Harbor, New York, go down the list, the various port of entry that they use in this country to receive cars from overseas, and then they get shipped out and distributed to the dealerships themselves. Once they get to the dealership, you have no idea how long that car has sat. Maybe it's a high-end car, maybe it's their flagship model, whether it's a Honda Accord, Lexus, Porsche, Ferrari, whatever. They all have their nicely enhanced and embellished showrooms that are all protected from the elements, and that car gets to sit there until it's sold. But that's only a select few. The rest of the cars are kicked outside to the curb, and they get to endure the harsh elements. Your car, before you bought it, could have likely sat on that yard or that lot for months at a time. Never mind if you're buying last year's model. So never mind the fact that they actually produce next year's model before it's even next year. So you can get a 2015 car before the year 2015. So there's so many variables that you have no idea as a car owner, and it would be virtually impossible to verify. And the dealer, trust me, they are the bare minimal plan. They are not going to prep your car. Even though you pay for dealer prep, you know what that means? It means they're going to take off the protective sheeting on the inside, on the outside. They're going to wash it. They're going to remove certain emblems or stickers. That's about it. They're not going to run the clay bar over it. They're not going to do any of that stuff. So after it's gone through the prep and is sitting on the lot, now it's exposed. Now it comes into, hey, dealers, like everything else in life, are not all created equal. Just like detailers, like myself, we're not all the same. Nothing is truly like for like. So one dealer may be very hyper vigilant about keeping his cars or her cars in tip-top shape. They may outsource the person that shows up to wash the cars down twice a week, but guess what? I'm pretty sure the owner of that dealership's not verifying that that guy that shows up with this mobile unit, you probably have seen them, they go up and down the rows of the car, they hose them off with the deionized water to reduce water spotting, but are they changing their tanks out as often as they could? Because like this Maserati, it's got water spots all over it. Do you think Johnny Customer knows that? No. Why? Because they don't know any better. I know it because I know better. It's also got fallout all over it. So I've got to spend the time to prep it even though it's a brand new car. Does it have scratches? Call it whatever you want. Micro scratches, swirl marks, abrasions, go down the list. Yes, this paint is far from flawless. So, but the reality is this is the real world. Most people do not have a trained eye in order to understand the nature of paint and all the many problems that a paint can be dealing with, or you as a car owner or as a detailer can be dealing with. And that's the rude reality, and that's just where ignorance comes in. Most people just don't understand all the different variables of the equation. So, brand new car, yes, it's got water spots. Am I going to polish those water spots away? No, not unless my customer and I have a conversation and say, hey, Johnny customer, guess what? Your car's brand new, it's cool, it's bitchin', good for you, thumbs up. But that paint right now sits at about a level 8. If you want it to sit at a level 10, that's gonna cost you a few $100s for me to polish away the permanent water spots that have now etched into the paint. I've got to clay it, got to do all this stuff. But the customer's standing there going, how much is that going to cost me, Darren? Because I'm looking at my car and it looks pretty darn good. It's like, well, guess what? It does look good, because simply claying it, or I'm sorry, simply washing it, claying it, and waxing it, for most people, that's going to look like a level 10 paint job. But for a guy like myself that's been in the industry long enough, you know better. Or maybe you have a critical eye as a car owner and you have examined your car underneath fluorescent lights or LED lights. You can see the endless swirl marks, the endless scratches. Maybe you have some permanent water spots that have etched into the clear coat. You might have some bird poop damage. Go down the list. But most people do not have that kind of a trained eye. So they simply stand back and they look at their car and it looks glorious. So let me take you for a tour of this car. If you are seeing water spots all over it, that is because I am claying it. I'm not mopping up the water spots as I go. Now this happens to be Chemical Guy's waterless, eco-smart, ready-to-use formulation. I just kept a bottle. It's actually their concentrate, and I mix it with distilled water, which is the purest water that you can get. I do not have to worry about water spots. And as I speak, the sun is beginning to peek its head through the clouds. So we've got this brand new Maserati, and like I said, it's at a level 8 as far as the paint goes. I know I could raise it to a level 10. That would require hours and hours of additional work. For most people, they want to keep it real. Now, whether they label that equation that way themselves or not is a different topic. What I mean is that they just want to walk up to their car as they come from the garage, their house, whatever, or the market, and reach for the handle and get in. As they're walking up to their car, they want to look at it, admire it, and see that it's shiny and clean. That's about all the expectations they have. Occasionally, they might notice some blemish or some flaw in their paint that is so glaringly big or significant that they would trip over it. So occasionally that happens, and then that's when they bring up the subject. Hey, Mr. Darren, what can we do about this? Well, Johnny customer, let me tell you what we can do about this. I can fix that. This is what it would cost. This is the trade-offs. I may have to color sand part of your clear coat away to actually remove it. Or there's another alternative, which is I can diminish the look of that blemish so that under normal viewing distances, you will not be able to see it, and none of your neighbors will not be able to see it. You will not have to hide your face in shame because your car is not perfect. Yes, I am being kind of ridiculous to illustrate my point. So let's go for a little tour on the inside, because I've already detailed the inside of this car. Yes, it's brand new. It's part of my maintenance customers. I see this car, well, now that they have just purchased it, I'm going to see this car every 4 weeks like clockwork, so that it always looks in showroom condition. Here we have a speck of lint. Unacceptable. So, my rating, and let's just segue into another topic, which is the world of trying to remain profitable as a car manufacturer. So far, aside from the badge called Maserati Babam, I would have to say that this car at every level is anticlimactic. The material choice, the fit and finish, I'm pretty disappointed. I'm pretty sure this is about $100,000 car, give or take $10,000 either way. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, it's like, okay, Maserati is really responding to the market, which is we all want to drive fabulous cars, but not enough of us can afford it. So how do we get more of our cars into the hands of more customers? And therefore, how do we do it in a way to make money? Well, that's where we water down the Kool-Aid. And in this case, the metaphor is that we water down the fit and finish, the material choice, the quality. Everything gets watered down so that it can become affordable to the end user, and we as a company called Maserati can still turn a profit. So as a detailer that has to have a hypercritical eye, it's a rather disappointing, anticlimactic moment, but hey, doesn't really matter, just so long as you're sporting that cool Maserati around town, right? So there you go, folks. We really get what we want, or we really get, this is where the free market really works. If we have shown the industry, it's like, hey, we're acceptable at, or we are okay with watered down products, so long as we get to drive around with that badge everywhere we go. So the industry responds, and this is what we get, and this is what I call a watered down version of a very high-end car. But that's just me, not that I have an opinion, right? So I hope I've addressed a few questions. Clay bar your car as often as you want. Will it abrade the paint? Yes, it will. But 99% of you will not know what that is, because by the time I'm done claying or removing the pollutants or the pollution off of this paint and waxing it, it will look glorious. Trust me, you would have to get out a microscope or the right light to figure out if it in fact abraded the paint and how much. So in the real world, for the most part, it is a non-issue. Clay bar your car as often as you like. Once it's been done the first time and your paint feels silky smooth, because that's what it should feel like, silky smooth, not a trace of any kind of grit or texture or bump or anything on it. Once you do that, if you just maintain it, it literally is like a 10-minute moment. I could clay bar this car if I did it once a month. If I chose to do that, I could clay bar this car and keep up on it in probably 7.5 minutes to do the entire car. That's a pretty short span of time. So it really ultimately comes up to you and your expectations as to what you want your car to feel like. But the added equation is that the products that you choose to use will perform better, not only perform better and deliver better end results, but the user experience, which is you, will be better because you're working on very smooth paint. So that's the other equation to that. So yes, I highly recommend the Nanoskin. They're very user friendly, so long as you're doing it on cool shaded paint. It's malleable. It can be molded, and it can fit in all the little contours and crevices of the car. So as a rule, you always lead the manufacturer's directions, so that's where you always start. This is for use by hand. It's these clay bars, sponges, preparation pads can be used on literally any surface that you can get them to slide across. So paint, glass as a rule, chrome as a rule, all suitable for it. Pollution sticks to all those surfaces. Water spots. I told you that this car has water spots. Will the clay bar remove water spots? What it will remove is the minerals that have dried and are laying on top of the paint. But those minerals can etch into the paint and below the surface into the clear coat. It will not remove those types of water spots or that part of the equation, because that is permanent damage that has to be now polished away. As you use any clay bar, any surface preparation bar, as you slide it across the paint with your spray lubricant, it will sound noisy. That is the pad rubbing across the texture. As you rub more and more, the paint will become smoother and smoother, and the noise will diminish to the point where you will hear no noise. That means that you are done. Now, if you want to check out additional pictures on this specific car, go to my Facebook page, Instagram, follow me there, because I'm going to take some pictures of the inside outside so you can kind of get a more in-depth look at this car specifically if you're interested. And if you choose to get this one of these, you can find the links to my website in the show more box, so check it out, and thanks for tuning in.